State Farm agent Scott Zyman. You've got a car, you've got a house. Now get your car and house insured together with State Farm agent Scott Zyman. A local agent can help you customize your coverage and save you a bundle on your home and auto insurance. Contact State Farm agent Scott Zyman to bundle and save today at 815-748-3101 or stop by at 2587 Sycamore Road, Suite D, DeKalb, Illinois. Prices may vary by state. Options selected by customers. Availability, amount of discount, savings, and eligibility may vary. And welcome in to podcast number 11, TD Ryan Unleashed. Well, it's a wonder why anyone would run for politics these days with all the negativity and the darkness, but like a ray of sunshine out of the 4th Ward of Sycamore comes newly re-elected Virginia Sherrod, who was in it to win it, and she ain't going nowhere. Welcome, Alderman Sherrod. How you doing today?
I am great. How are you, Ryan?
I am excited to see you. It's TD Ryan. I know you don't really know me, but I know you, know of you, and there's a great quote from you, Virginia, when you got re-elected this last time around. I'm going to read it. I'm so honored and so blessed. I feel so blessed to be with such an awesome group of people. I'm so grateful that I won. I had an opponent, so it was hard. But I think all things come to those who honor God. So thank you all so much. It's such an honor. Tell us about that quote. And, my wife taught me when I used to say that I was a lucky or great, she always said, no, you're blessed. And yes. Tell us why that's so important.
It is very important because raised in a home where religion was very important. Both of my parents grew up in the South. And a lot of times that was what they relied on to get them through the hard times, their faith in God. And that was instilled in me. And one of my favorite quotes is, trust in the Lord with all thine heart and lean not to thy own understanding. Acknowledge him in all thy ways and he'll do what? He'll direct our path.
Yes.
And I think that's with me because God has directed my path. I never ever dreamed to be in politics, if you will. And when I was blessed with the opportunity was even before I became a member of the city council, I ran for county board and I lost. And I was heartbroken. I felt like I had let all the people down that had voted for me and had confidence in me that I could do the job. And what really saved me was the knowledge that God had something else in store for me. Not only that, I lost to an awesome woman, and she's a veteran, and she's still on the county board, and she's doing an awesome job. So that much being beaten by a woman, it made me feel a little less than. So speaking to another woman that I admire very much, she encouraged me to run for the city council. And going back over the minutes from prior years and looking at all the minutes, I realized that Tim LeBon in the 1970s was the first African-American alderman.
Okay, because it said you were the first. I was going to bring that up later on, but okay, so.
Yes, it wasn't me. He was the first male African-American, and this was in the 70s, and I went to school with his daughters, Francesca and Ramona, and I thought, oh my goodness. And the only other African-American I knew that held a position of status in Sycamore was Miss Fannie Sims, and she was the president of the Human Relations Commission, and that was in the 70s. So not necessarily groundbreaking, but I am the first African-American woman to hold a position on the city council. And I take that very proudly, not to be haughty or anything of that nature, but I felt like this is where God wanted me to be. And working for the city of Sycamore, a town that I was born and raised in, it's just an awesome feeling.
Well, 67% of the people thought you were right for the job, too. Tell us about that. Now, you ran against a gentleman, where do I have that? Against Rob Dancy. Did you know Rob before? And tell us about the campaign. And what'd you tell Rob after the campaign was over?
I haven't spoken to him.
Oh yeah, okay.
I don't know him.
Okay.
But how I came to know him was he mentioned, I think during his campaign, that he was the Santa Claus. And so I believe I saw pictures of him. I don't recall ever meeting him personally.
Okay.
But
So you didn't have a debate? There was no debates or
no, there was no
forums?
debate.
Okay.
I don't even know if anyone asked us for a debate. So I was looking forward to, debating him. I knew that his stance on some of the things, because I had talked to some of our constituents that had gotten literature from him. And it kind of made me nervous because with everyone that was running for office, I was the only one that had an opponent. So I thought, okay, so I had to sharpen up my tools and get myself ready, to run. I had help of a lot of good people that got behind me, that got in front of me, that got beside me, and they helped me along the way. I couldn't have done it without their help.
Now your turnout in the fourth ward was 15%, which sadly is a good turnout. How do you get more people involved? I know you belong to the League of Women Voters, and
Yes.
are more women voting? I know more women are running for office. You lost the one back with the county board, but we see
Yes.
more and more women running for office. But are they voting more?
I believe so, and I believe in the climate that we're in now, they know how important it is to vote. And when you don't vote, you don't have a voice.
Yeah, shut up. Then don't go sit somewhere on the bench somewhere because nobody wants to hear it.
Absolutely, because no one wants to hear it.
Right.
You have the biggest charge of having that pen in your hand and going into that voting booth and doing your due diligence. I take it very personally. As a little girl, I used to go with my dad to vote. And I asked him because in school, they would teach us about our duties as American citizen and our right to vote. And anyone that knows anything about history knows that during the Women's Suffrage Act, women did not have a right to vote. And we fought very hard for that right to vote, for men to consider us a competent being to be able to vote. It was a men's game during that time. And one of the organizations that I am with is the DeKalb County Dems, and I'm vice chair. And one of our big fundraisers is Mother Jones. And if you know anything about Mother Jones, she was a very good advocate and a proponent in helping organize unions and the Women's Suffrage Act, and was very important in getting out for the women to vote. So it is important. When people say, oh, I didn't vote this time, I think, oh my goodness, I have to say, your vote is your voice. If you don't vote, you don't have a voice.
Do you think it should be a holiday? Do you think it should be a legal holiday so everybody get out and vote? Or would it work that way?
I don't know if people would honor it as a holiday. I think it's a responsibility as citizens of this great United States to vote.
Your daughter's nodding her head as you say that.
Yes, because my daughter is an adult with a disability and she's hearing impaired, but she knows how important it is to vote. She has been voting since she was 18, and my baby is
Wonderful.
going to be 50 in December.
Oh my.
So she goes to those polls and she votes. And we explain to her in sign what it is, and she knows her mom's name. And she goes right to it. Every time I have ran for office, she votes for her mom.
That's wonderful.
She knows how important it is.
We're talking with Virginia Sherrod, newly reelected in the fourth ward of Sycamore, talking about another reelection that you got. Now, people are leaving Illinois in droves here, but yet I'm looking at the Sycamore's population through the years, Virginia. Very interesting. We actually lost some in 1890, and we lost some people in 1920. But if you look for between, 1990 and 2000, a 23% increase. And
Absolutely.
of course, it keeps growing every year. Why are people leaving Illinois and staying in Sycamore?
Sycamore is such a quaint little town, and it's beautiful. And I think years ago, when I was little, they'd say, well, if you drink the water, you're never leave.
Oh, you actually dip your toe in the Kishwaukee River, you come back.
Dip your toe in the kids, you're going to come back. Correct. So I think when they see we've gotten a lot of people coming in from the area outside, west of us and east of us, that are coming in because they see the hometown atmosphere. It's a small town, yet we're growing. Because I can remember seeing signs saying life offers more in Sycamore, and the population was 6,400.
You still see the sign in your head.
I can still remember that sign on 64 coming in. We used to go to Rockford a lot, and because we had family there, and that sign always stuck with me, that life offers more in Sycamore and 6,400 population. So when I see it now almost 20,000, I know over that span of time, we have grown by leaps and bounds. I mean, you can tell because we were hopefully going to be building a new high school.
A new fire station, right?
A new fire station. That's a blessing. And, you know, that would mean we would have 3 fire stations. So, and all in pivotal parts of the town.
It's all about that response time, right?
It is. It's that response time, and that means a lot. So, with that being said, we have how many? We have 1 middle school, and they all pour into the high school. And I can remember when the middle school was where Family Dollar is now. That was my junior high. Now, we didn't call it middle school because it was 7th and 8th grade. So
that's when you know you're a native. But when there used to be that old building there.
Yes, I can still see that old building. And at that point, that had been my sister's high school.
Okay.
So she graduated in '64, and her class, I believe, was the first class to graduate from the new high school, and they had it at the old high school outside.
Okay.
So class of '64, they graduated from the old junior high school outside.
We're talking to newly reelected Virginia Sherrod about various issues. Now, Virginia, this was a controversy, not a controversy, but a big issue both in Sycamore and DeKalb, and that is, of course, the city clerk position. Now, both cities had it on the ballot, and both cities voted to keep it an elected position. We just talked to Brad Hoy a couple of weeks ago here, and of course, Mary Koch is the city clerk there in Sycamore. Tell us about what was your feeling on this issue. Did you want it to remain an elected position, or what were your thoughts on that?
I think I wanted it to be an appointed, but that was just my own personal opinion.
And why is that? Because it's an important job?
Because it is an important job, and I think she is doing an awesome job. She is doing really well, and she's very efficient, and she's very professional with it, even though she's very loving and kind. So
you can be both, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And so I just wanted to make sure that the right people are there in that right position. So, but yeah, she ran on a poll, so that lets you know she's doing an awesome job, right?
Now, speaking of great people in a great position, now recently, city manager Michael Hall been awarded a pay raise and a little compensation for when he retires. I think it was a almost unanimous vote. How did you vote in that, Virginia? And what were your thoughts about that?
I voted for him for that increase. I think he is doing an awesome job.
Okay.
I am so proud of him. Yeah.
Now, I did some history here. Obviously, you worked with Mayor Mundy was the first mayor I got to interview in Sycamore, and boy, it's hard to get better than Mayor Mundy. But I was doing some research. Now, did you know Red Johnson back in the day?
I did.
Because Red, I did not realize this, when Mayor Philip Ramsey took over Fred Johnson, he had a heart attack 6 months later at the age of 65, and that's 6 months after Mayor Red Johnson had died of a massive heart attack in 1991.
Oh, wow.
Did you know that?
I
didn't
did not
realize
know that.
But he was a real character, wasn't he?
He was.
Mr. Johnson.
He
I
was.
understand go around with his
I
cane
can
and,
remember him at Goldberg and Haynes. And, yeah, my husband and I bought furniture from him.
Okay.
And my dad was the kind of person that he knew everybody. And he would go there and they'd shake hands over a deal, and that was it. And that's, I think, the best part about a small town. Now things have gotten more professional. You have to fill out
All the
applications
forms, yes.
and all the forms. But you used to borrow money or whatever with a handshake.
Mm-hmm.
Your handshake was just as good as your signature. So yeah.
I know a lot of us missed those days. That's for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, Mayor Money. Now, before him was Mayor Swedberg. Is that right? Do I have that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then, of course, Kurt Lang. We got to interview Kurt a lot. Kurt, just another fantastic gentleman. And he brought us to the Grove, the Sycamore Grove, there for the Remember the Veterans, right?
Yes.
Were you there for that ceremony?
I was there. I served under Mayor Lang. I think it was my first term.
Okay.
Yes, and then he retired.
Right. And then along comes right now, Mr. Steve Brazier, of course.
Yes, yes.
And of course, he was a fellow alderman with you for years, right?
Yes, he was. He was on the board and on the council, and I was very, very pleased to see him run, and I think he's doing an awesome job.
And that's, again, the right people in the right place, right?
And the right people in the right place at the right time.
At the right time. That's another. So we're talking to Virginia Sherrod. Now let's talk about what else did I want to mention about the. Jim Winters retiring. We interview Jim every month on the show, in the radio show that was on. There's no finer gentleman than Jim Winters.
Yes. I think he's awesome. I was sad to see him retire, but happy for him.
Right.
That, he's.
Like you say, everything happens, right?
Everything happens for a reason. Absolutely. And I got to know Chief Winters, and I think he's a really good guy.
Yes. He was missed. And the new chief is great, too. I'll mention that as well.
Yes.
But now, I interviewed Mark Petrowski, the mayor of Cortland, last week, and he was upset, jokingly, that you were replacing him as the most recently inductee into the Sycamore Education Foundation Distinguished Alumni Award over there at Sycamore High School. You were a 1972 Sycamore High School graduate. Tell us about that, and what is it like to be honored like that?
I was just absolutely blown away. I couldn't even imagine. And it was Mark, I believe, that nominated me.
I think he said that, yes.
I've known him for quite a while. I consider him a really good friend. And the way they fooled me into, it was kind of funny because I was working at the time, and I was the administrator at the Sycamore Moose Lodge. And the young lady called me, and she said that she had a group of alumni students that were getting together and wanted to do something. I can't remember what it was. She said, for the high school. And I said, oh, sure, thank you. And we were going to meet for lunch. And
so
I was duped, and I could never get away, and I had to cancel, and I had to call her, and I canceled. And she said, well, Virginia, I just want to tell you the truth. She said, that was a smokescreen. She said, it is going to be, you have been nominated to be in the Sycamore High School
Hall of Fame. Right?
Hall of Fame. And I said, what? And she said, yeah. And I'm anybody who knows me knows I'm very emotional. And I started crying. I said, I can't believe this. I was just floored. And she said, yes, you were nominated to be on the Hall of Fame for the high school. And I thought, I cannot believe that. It was just, and it still hasn't quite sunk in yet. If you look at my Facebook page, there's a picture of me. That's my new.
And did you know the other two inductees? So, Wright B. George, kind of right in between. He was 61, and then you also had the younger gentleman.
I did not. But it's ironic that my son was there because I had family there on that day. that we were inducted. My son knows the
Chad McGee, is that the
Chad
other?
McGee. He
Okay.
went to school with him. I think he said he was Jared graduated in 98, so I think Chad graduated either the year before him or the year after him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned what growing up in Sycamore. I grew up in Lincolnwood, which is a suburb of Chicago, but
Okay.
went to a big school in Isles West, had 4,000 students there. I wish I went to a small school like Sycamore High School. Tell us about growing up in Sycamore, what that was like.
Oh my gosh. I was a Tom girl, so I played a lot, and
What sports did you like?
we played street ball.
Okay. So we did.
Baseball.
Yes.
Yeah,
Wait for the
and I
cars to
was-
go by, and then the sewer's home plate, and then you go from
Yeah.
there.
Years ago, I was on a women's softball league.
Okay.
And I used to admire those women that could hit the ball and hit it out of the park, because we were in the back baseball diamonds at the Sycamore Park.
Okay.
And I loved to watch those women hit the ball, and it would go rolling out into where the cars were parked. And I thought, that's the way I want to do it. I would always hit, but I would be outside of third base. And
Okay.
I thought that was good, if I could get to second base,
But now you didn't have the girls' teams then. Now we have we even have girls wrestling now and baseball,
Yes.
but you didn't have all that, did you?
We didn't. And now girls are even playing football.
Yes, yes.
Because I was working at DeKalb High School as a para, and we had a couple of students that played football, that were on the football team, and I thought, wow.
And there's a girls Sycamore rugby team too.
Yes, it is.
And rugby is even tougher than football.
Rugby is very tough, and I'll tell you, the first boys rugby team, my grandson, who I raised, was a part of that, Victor Bundy. And he has, the first tattoo he got was of the first
Is
year
that right?
they played, they won championship, and so they were number one. So
that
Sycamore
right?
High School rugby team was number one.
Wow.
Was number one, and he got that tattoo on his hand. I thought, oh my goodness.
Oh, that's
But
wonderful.
I never thought about rugby football without a helmet.
No. Now, you were a teaching assistant at Sycamore School, District 427, for many years.
Yes.
And you helped the classroom to form the Classroom Assistants Union.
Yes.
Also, were you like Norma Ray holding up the side saying
Oh, my goodness.
unionized? But tell us about that.
We unionized. It was a collective deal. We wanted to get equal pay.
Well, tell us about that position, because we're seeing it's becoming more and more prominent, especially
It
now
is.
folks here in the DeKalb school system realize how important those assistants are and
It is.
the need for them. And
It
tell us,
is.
but not only to benefit the students, but to benefit the teachers as well, right?
It benefits all, because with that being said, a lot of, they always say, well, we're the low man on the totem pole. But if you look at it, teachers are there to teach. And if there's a student that has special needs, they can't necessarily teach the whole class
Right.
and attend to that student's needs. So that's why the pairs are so important. And we can be in that class. We can be an advocate for that child. We can be a liaison. We can help them with their homework assignments. We can help them. We can take notes. We do everything. And we have students that
It's more of
are high functioning.
Okay, yeah.
All the different levels. And it's inclusion that we promote. Because we want every child to be included. And that was most important. One of the things that I advocated for my daughter before inclusion even came about is that they always included her in classes like home ec, art, choir,
Okay.
PE, and she was good at all of those because she is a Special Olympics medalist.
Oh, very good.
Oh yeah, we've got probably close to 1,000 medals since she has become involved with Opportunity House, and they are awesome. They have
They are
a
wonderful.
Special Olympics program that is off the chain, and Mark Johnson kind of grew up with with all those kids, especially Monica, because she's been there since '97. And
And you know the unofficial mayor of DeKalb, Shadow Gentry, I'm sure.
Oh, for sure.
Everybody loves Shadow.
Yes, yes. But yeah, it's those things that I think, attract people to want to come to Sycamore, because working in special ed, it was DeKalb County Special Ed. I worked at Camp Maple Leaf many years. And a lot of people who would, when the internet first came out, or by word of mouth, they would look up where their child with special needs could come and go to school and be educated. And they had the best teachers. We, DeKalb County, had the best teachers. We had the best ratings. And a lot of people who have children with special needs have moved here because of that. So that says a lot for the whole county.
That really does, yeah.
And I can remember when DeKalb County Special Ed was the consortium, all the children in DeKalb County were bused to DeKalb.
Is that right?
Yes, they were bused. And when DeKalb County Special Ed disbanded, they sent all the kids back to their home schools. So this made the home schools accountable to provide what that student needs. And that if that meant hiring a teacher with a special education degree, then that's what they needed. Audiologist, psychiatrist, everything that child needed. If it was 2 or more students, they needed to hire people to facilitate for them. And that's what's most important.
Very good. Well answered there, too. You mentioned home economics. I have to tell a story. I went to Notre Dame School for Boys in Niles, and I was asked to leave after my sophomore year. It was a bit of a hellion. So I get to the public school, Niles West, and first there's 1,200 kids in my class, but they let me take electives. I took beginning guitar and home economics. So it was me and 2 other guys, the only 3 guys in the class. We failed chocolate chips because we ate all the chocolate chips before. And then we failed Eggs Benedict because we burned the English muffins before.
Oh, my goodness.
So I got a C in home economics, and I was very happy to get that C. But I had to tell that story. But I see you're, speaking of food, you're involved with the Rooted for Good, formerly of the DeKalb Community Gardens that we interviewed them on the radio. What a wonderful group, Dan Kenny and the gang there. As God is my witness, I'll never be hungry again. But tell us why you're involved with that and what a wonderful group that they are.
Someone gave them my name.
Okay.
And said, she would be probably a very good board member. And I said, well, did you know when they talk about organic food, I grew up on organic food. My parents came from the South, so they knew about growing food. And
what type of food? Give us some examples.
Oh my gosh, okra, beans, greens, potatoes, onion, carrots. My mom had
and you'd find different ways to prepare those?
I know how to can. I know how to preserve. My mom had strawberry bushes. She had a grape harbor. She made grape jelly.
What, a grape harbor? What is that now?
Grapes harbor is the Concord grapes grew, and my dad, you know how you fence in stuff?
Right.
He would spike them so that they would grow up.
Right.
And if he planted, he made sure that they were ready and harvested, and they would produce and be ready to pick by September. And Mom would make her jelly, and then with the drugs that were left, the skins and everything, she'd make grape wine.
Oh, really?
And that would be ready by Thanksgiving.
Oh, I'm coming over for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nothing wasted, right?
Nothing wasted. And we would have sweet corn. So I grew up on eating vegetables.
I did. I wouldn't eat my spinach. I had 4 brothers, and they would all eat the spinach, and they got the chocolate pudding, and I'm sitting there letting the spinach get cold.
Oh, my gosh.
I told Mom, I can't eat it.
I can remember sitting there eating green peas and just hating the taste of them. But microwaves hadn't come out. So you couldn't warm up your food unless you put it in a pan and warmed it up. And I'd have to sit there and eat those cold green peas.
Yes.
Now I love them.
I didn't change for spinach. I still hate it. Just a couple of minutes left here. I see you belong to Symbis and IMSA, and I looked that up. I got the Lion King when I looked up the Symbis. What is that an acronym? What does that stand for?
It's Simba, SIMSA, and it is safe in my brother's arms,
Oh, okay.
safe in my sister's arms. And I am an elder. I have been involved in that almost 20 years. I was asked to be an elder when I was back in my 50s.
And you weren't an elder.
I was,
and you're hardly one now.
I was kind of, thank you. I was kind of taken aback because I knew what elder meant in church and in, in the community. And it is a Afrocentric organization that takes young men and young ladies and teach them about life. There are a lot of inner city kids that are involved, and I'm so glad you mentioned this. We are having a fundraiser right now. We have camp once a year, and you can send a child to camp for $375. There's a fundraiser. Davion Bradley, who is our chapter head for DeKalb and Sycamore, just texted me this morning about a fundraiser. They're selling popcorn.
Okay.
If anyone is interested in sending a kid to camp, please go on the website, Simba/SIMSA, and it'll pop up and it'll tell you the whole history of Simba/SIMSA. We recreate an African village because you know what the old adage is, it takes a village.
Right.
And that's one of our adages for Simba/SIMSA, because these kids from 8 years old to 18, and they are shown how to be a man, how to take responsibility, how important it is to have God in your life, how important it is to get an education. Everybody is not meant to go to college. Everybody is not meant to go to an Ivy League school. But you can still be a productive citizen by finding your niche in life. You can be a mechanic, but if you can be one of the best mechanics. You see what I'm saying?
I do.
You can be a doctor, you can be a lawyer, you can be a teacher. And this is what we do. We teach young women how to be young women, how to go about their lives, and how to honor God first. And everything else will fall into place. And Simba/SIMSA is an organization that I'm so proud to be a part of, and so proud to be called an elder because they look to the elders for wisdom.
Well, elder implies wisdom. I was just going to say that. So don't forget that. I lost my dad at a young age, and I know my coaches and other people, my uncle, were involved. And it's so many people, young people without both parents, that it's so important to have that role model.
There's a lot of single moms out there. There's some single dads out there. And we have to give them all the praise and glory because that's a hard job. It's a hard job being a parent, having two parents raising kids nowadays because there's so much influence out there.
Right.
And trying to keep the kids to give them the knowledge and the wisdom to make good choices and to be responsible for their actions. And to know that when you do good, good comes back to you. And just because so many kids are from the inner cities, from Chicago, we have kids in Chicago, Rockford, DeKalb, Sycamore, we have kids in Columbus, Ohio, all over. And they all come together and meet. In fact, yesterday I had on my t-shirt, when we had our reunion just before COVID hit, in 2019, I believe it was, and we hosted our reunion. We have a reunion every year, and we just attended our reunion. It was in Chicago. It was at the Great Wolf. Oh gosh, I'm not.
Great Wolf Lodge? Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Oh my goodness, the kids had a one. It was well over 300.
Oh no, great.
Of kids and adults, and this is the first time I've been able to go in years, and I was just Oh my gosh, and they honored all of us elders, and it was wonderful.
It should, as it should be, that's for sure. Now, as we wrap things up here, I want to talk about, so many positive things in Sycamore, Pumpkin Fest, the Turning Back Time Car Show, the city itself, you already kind of alluded to that. And then one I wanted to point out was the Suitor Company, because we talk to the Suitor Company every year with their Feed Their Starving Children program. And Tim Suitor and the company there, is there anything better than that? My gosh.
I don't think there's anything better than that. I was working at DeKalb High School when we first got into this, and it was, oh gosh, I can't remember the superintendent's name. But I asked him, I was one of the faculty advisors for BSU, the Black Student Union at DeKalb High School. And I said, is it okay if I sign the kids up for that? And he said, yes. And when I got in there and saw all families, corporations, schools, young, old, black, white, it didn't matter. And we were all there for the common good of feeding these starving children. It was wonderful. And what is so awesome about it is that the Suitor Company is a family-owned business, homegrown in Sycamore. And that's what's really, really makes me so happy. That's another thing that Sycamore has done.
What does Sycamore need in your idea, Virginia? I mean, do we want more commerce? We have Ideal Industries, and we mentioned the Suitor Company. And do you want to see more big hitters in there like that?
I would love to, because my dad worked 36 years at Anaconda Wire.
Is that right? Oh, wow.
And he could walk to work. Those big factories.
I live on 10th Street in DeKalb, and the GE plant, the big GE plant, is sitting there empty.
Absolutely.
Think about how many people work there.
And I passed by there, and I know that I had an aunt that worked there.
Oh, really?
And other relatives that worked at GE. My sister worked 30 years at Turner's, which is now upstaging.
Okay. Turner's Brass Works, right?
Turner Brass, okay. Yes. She worked there.
I've been around a little while.
Yes, yes. And then right next to that was... oh my gosh, my cousin worked there part-time. They make tools. Oh gosh, what's the name?
I should be able to help you out. I can't help you out.
I can't.
You'll come
right
back.
Next to Turner's. But it's just those Diamond Wire used to be. My grandmother, I think, worked at Diamond Wires. It's just so many. But Suitors has stayed the course. And they have been the ones that survived. So what they're doing with that is just awesome.
And as Sycamore grows, like you said, can you keep that? Can we keep this small town feel and yet continue to grow the way Sycamore is?
I think we can. We can keep the integrity of the small town. And we are growing, and growth is good. I'd like to see it continue to grow. It has grown over the years, like I said, from 6,400.
You still see that sign up there?
To almost 20,000. And our neighbors, look at DeKalb, almost 50,000.
Yeah. And Cortland is growing.
Cortland is growing.
They're growing as well.
Absolutely.
So this little area kind of isolated from all the people fleeing Illinois.
Yes. Yeah. And, there are going to be people that's going to come and go, and people that are going to come here and be rooted for good. I drank the water.
Well, there's more in Sycamore. There's more in Sycamore because Virginia Sherrod is there. What do you want to say? Virginia, you get to speak at city council meetings and stuff, but right now, I know a lot of people in Sycamore are listening to this podcast. What do you want to say to them now for all the support that you've gotten from them through the years? I don't want to make you cry.
I know. I thank everyone that had enough confidence in me that I can do the job. I take it very seriously. I am just honored to be able to sit on that city council and know that I am investing in not just my future, but my children's future, my neighbor's future. And I just when someone comes to me with an issue, I try my best to help them get it resolved. Whatever it is, if it's needing potholes fixed. And I think we have one of the best all around wall to wall cities that anyone could ever want. And that's just me. I'm prejudiced because I love Sycamore. And I can't
We get
see
that from you.
myself. I can't see myself living anywhere else other than Sycamore. Could we when I say that there's no improvement, oh yes.
Well, there's room for improvement.
There's always room for improvement. And we have to look at ourselves first and say, what can I do better? And if every individual looked at themselves and say, what can I do better? You know, if it's nothing but helping your neighbor, if it's the senior citizen that's across the street that can't shovel, you know, and I feel like I can shovel, I'll get out there and shovel, or you can get one of my boys to go and shovel or ice their sidewalk. It's those kinds of things. It's that neighbor, love thy neighbor as you love yourself, and help one another when you see someone in distress or need help. That's what I love about Sycamore. It's so many things that I could go on and on and on about.
We just mentioned the
Sycamore.
other day, Mr. Rogers' speech, he said, look for the helpers, look for the helpers. And that's we have a lot of helpers around, don't we?
We do. And it's just, you can drive down there. The saddest thing to me was when COVID hit. And if you were going to the gas station to get gas or to the store to get essentials, downtown looked like a ghost town.
Yeah.
There were no cars in front of any of the stores. There was hardly any action going on. Now you can, 10 o'clock at night, there's cars, people are walking. And, you know, you talked about the car show. The Earlers were neighbors of mine.
Oh, really?
Yes, on North Cross. And to see, and I know Miss June Earler, she's relocated now, but she and I talked about that, and she said that was the one thing she was going to miss the most, and how they honor her husband.
That's
You
wonderful.
know, that I think that's just awesome, you know, and that's another thing that I came through town the first time they had it, and they had that big, huge flag.
Oh, I love that. Now you are going to cry, because you'll get me going too. That's a beautiful thing.
And they were singing the national anthem. And I thought, wow, this is what I love about our small town. Or when they have the art show and it's all the courthouse lawn. And people are coming in from all over. When they have Pumpkin Fest, I used to march with Marilyn Majorette. So I remember when the pumpkin parade started at the courthouse and ended at the old National Tea Lot, and every kid that marched in the parade got 2 free tickets to the Skinner Carnival.
Oh, okay, very good.
And I believe Skinner Carnival is probably out of commission.
Right.
So I think it's Windy City now. But I remember those days. And that's what makes me love Sycamore.
Yeah, well, let's leave it at that. I tell you, there's more in Sycamore because Virginia Sherrod is there and her lovely daughter. It's been a real honor to get to know you better, and I am blessed to get to know you better, and I know our listeners are too. So thank you for finding time for us, Virginia, and thank you for coming with your mom today. And bless you both, and thank you for your time today.
Thank you, and thank you so very much. It's great to get to know you. Good. Yeah. And Monica said hello to everyone.
Okay, thank you, Monica. And that's podcast number 11, TD Ryan Unleashed. State Farm agent Scott Zyman. You've got a car, you've got a house. Now get your car and house insured together with State Farm agent Scott Zyman. A local agent can help you customize your coverage and save you a bundle on your home and auto insurance. Contact State Farm agent Scott Zyman to bundle and save today at 815-748-3101 or stop by at 2587 Sycamore Road, Suite D, DeKalb, Illinois. Prices may vary by state. Options selected by customers. Availability, amount of discount, savings, and eligibility may vary.